Great time for Total War Warhammer 3 multiplayer, honestly. The advent of Conquest has largely been a pretty big success from my view. I mean, obviously, there's quite a few requested changes for Conquest, but even still, it seems to have captured sort of the essence of what we want from Total War, hopefully, and seems to have brought a lot of people together in various events, which is awesome to see. It's also been the patch of Man, which is great for me as a human faction enjoyer. Everyone except arguably Cathay has kind of gotten smacked down a little bit, but, you know, Kislev, Bretonnia, Empire, all top-tier factions, along with, you know, Tzeentch, of course, being there as always, and you could argue Beastmen, Lizardmen are also in the upper tier. Honestly, I would say most factions, if played well, are probably viable, which is good to say. I mean, there are some outliers who are pretty bad, but a lot of factions just don't have people really pushing them, to be honest. You know, I've recently been watching some Super Smash Brothers content, honestly. It's been popping up on my YouTube algorithm, and just watching sort of the history of that game. It's been interesting to see how recently sort of the quote-unquote low tiers have been taken to the next level, and that's a game that's, you know, decades old at this point. But it's just interesting to and thinking about it in the context of Total War Warhammer. Certainly we're in a place right now where a lot of factions aren't really being pushed in the top tiers of play, which is interesting. Are the factions not being pushed because they're bad, or because, yeah, for whatever reasons? It's interesting, definitely. But after the most recent patches, I would say the game is largely in the most balanced state it's been in quite some time in Total War Warhammer 3. There's still a few outliers that need toning up, but especially considering the volume of stuff in this game, is quite impressive the job Creative Assembly has done, especially given their somewhat limited, I wouldn't say somewhat limited resources, I will say the dedication of resources to create Conquest and, you know, hopefully continue to maintain it and improve it is definitely one. But anyway, this replay from Calamity versus Tank, two friends of the channel, very good players right now, playing a classic land battle, of course. Yeah, already clashing here, the state troop line. We've got a steam tank led by Balthazar Gelt, war wagons, and the Demogryph Knights halberds, two of them. Looks like Empire Knights pushing the flanks here, doing some maneuvering. On their opposition is Grail Knights. A little bit of an awkward turn of phrase, but there you go. Some Peasant Bowmen as well. Field Trebuchets, Men-at-Arms to protect more Men-at-Arms in the front line, mixing with a couple of Foot Squires, including the Beast Slayers Regiment of Renown. Peasant Mobs break things up. King Lewin leading the way, healing, of course, and the Grail Relic, very important piece. So much so that it looks like the Steam Tank might try and perhaps snipe. Nope, just looking to smash through these Foot Squires for the time being, given their slightly more expensive infantry for Bretonnia. Taking a look again, cavalry pushing the flanks here. The combination of the Demogryph Knights, the Spearmen in support, and the Empire Knights is going to be more than what the Grail Knights want to take on, so they're going to peel there and get the MLG screen of routing units here unintentionally, with the Peasant Mobs kind of blocking up the Knights there slightly. Actually affords the Grail Knights opportunity to turn around and engage. The Demogryphs had gotten distracted fighting King Lewin, so a decent engagement for Bretonnia to try and get back some value here, but Empire definitely sees the initiative. The War Wagons also pretty free to just continue firing here. A Field Trebuchet in the back line also applying some pressure, but a really nice Final Transmutation here. Again, going after not necessarily the high-value gold pieces, but the high-value tactical pieces. Damsel Lore of Life there taking massive damage from the Final Transmutation. A couple of cannon shots point blank as well from the Steam Tank. Main gun. Demogryph Knights following up in a pursuit. They're going to collapse on the back of these Grail Knights, who had at least gotten a regrowth overcast. So, you know, Damsel burning as much of her magic as she can. Poor Balthazar moves in to finish it. That said, you know, the Demogryph Knights that moved in there were definitely badly savaged. The Grail Knights obviously holding their own despite everything. Superhuman strength. Overpower even the Dread Chickens of the Empire. And over on this far side, too, Empire Knights just kind of getting overwhelmed eventually with the swordsman there. Yeah, the other Demogryph Knight. Not seeing them. Must have, yeah, taken too much damage in this far side engagement here. But the Grail Knights do eventually get routed, so both players kind of consolidating a flank. And the Trebuchet is still just pounding away in the center. Empire not being able to allocate resources to finish them. Also a good amount of Foot Squires left. These Beast Slayers could potentially support their halberds. We'll see. If they're going to be able to get in position to do so. Right now, the War Wagons, the Steam Tank, going to set orders to charge. Love me a charge of some war wagons into some archers here. Taking out those peasant bowmen. Quick hit and run. The steam tank, though, will stay a little longer, as its combat prowess is significant. Grail Knights following through, though, are going to be able to get a little bit of a surround as Lewin pressures the war wagons away. It is enough to terrify away the crew here, and the peasant bowmen, of course, and the infinite mass of the steam tank, mostly allowing it to pull through the Grail Knights, as Balthasar also jumps in. No, Lewin did there. I was going to say, Balthasar, yeah, did manage to get out there. Very risky, but keeping Balthasar alive is going to be obviously very key here. Looks like he's going to throw down another final transmutation. Very nicely done. Especially hitting the artillery here, like just as they're kind of going back to pick up the artillery pieces again. Didn't get a full contact on them, I guess. It's Lewin. Ooh, no, don't fly back over the artillery piece. Yeah, it will destroy the unit models of the artillery. With the damage scaling, targeting single models like that. But Trebuchet manages to survive. Will it end up mattering? Hard to say. The steam tank is definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with, as are the Grail Knights on both sides. Each player still has a win condition unit or two to try and take down the war wagons. Focus firing on the Grail Knights here. Definitely the right unit they need to be taking out. Swordsmen trying to move into support. We've got a handful of Shattered Demigryph Knights. You can see here, Empire player Calamity going all in with all of his resources to try and take out the Grail Knights. They just countercharge the Demigryph Knights, so they can pretty much kill on the charge. Steam tank moves in. Lewin's going to come for support. Empire Knights, glorious doom charge into the Grails. It's going to go pretty badly for them, but at least they'll do whatever damage they can and buy more time for the war wagons to keep emptying their ammunition. War wagons, not the most burst damage in the world, but over time can definitely get it done. Just need as much time as possible to work, but not a lot of protection left at this point. Crews in the back here just, saying their prayers to Sigmar as the Knights of Bretonnia pursue. They are managing to fell a few more models there. Some of their shots also going into Lewin. But, yeah, you can see the damage as soon as the Grails make contact. They're able to do some fairly significant damage, even in the pursuit, too. They're going to be taking little chunks off here and there, so not ideal for the Empire, but some of the war wagons at least will be able to get away there. During this time, too, the steam tank trying to mop up the Grail Relic, get rid of the Immunopsychology, do some damage to the Beast Slayers, some State Troop Swordsmen getting on the crews of the Trebuchets, finally fully shutting them down, most likely. Never say never, I guess, but it's not looking good for them as one model kind of explodes there. Sword of Corone for Lewin. Got a handful more men-at-arms moving in. Beast Slayers managed to hold their leadership together, and he's probably going to be going after the steam tank here, especially with the melee defense and armor debuffs. I mean, the armor, it has so much that even after that debuff, still 130, so maybe not mattering that much. It does take it to 0 melee defense, though. Problem is, can any units get melee contact with it? Most likely not, but Balthasar also feeling the heat here a little bit, as Lewin sort of scares him. But Grail Knights starting to, well, not starting to, definitely have run out of steam at this point on their last legs. Still doing damage to the war wagons despite everything. Lewin is looking pretty thin on help here, which is going to be a problem, definitely. Grail Relic still alive, supporting some of these Beast Slayers and other infantry, but they might as well not exist against the steam tank. It'll just run over them instantly. Yeah, steam tank's definitely one of those things that needs probably some nerfs. The new steam tank is awesome. It's had a great run. Probably time for it to be brought into balance. A few things you could do, cost increase and otherwise, but overall, balance of the game is pretty good. Yeah, steam tank here just firing in with its main gun. That's the thing, too, with this kind of an Empire build, is you can kind of just post up and shoot, and as soon as your opponent charges in, you countercharge with a lot of the Knights, and obviously the steam tank fulfills both roles as well. Plenty fun time. The Empire with their mobile firepower plus Knights is a great combination for sure, whereas Bretonnia, of course, classically just the Knights, of course. Absolutely spectacular. But as a human faction enjoyer, it's definitely been a great time for Total War Warhammer. Lewin gonna be chased off here by Balthazar. Once he routs, Bretonnia player gonna throw in the towel there. That will be victory for the Empire. Calamity taking the win. 300 kills on the steam tank, 22,000 damage dealt, 2,400 gold value. Yeah, definitely steam tank is one unit that could use some fine-tuning. Demigryph Knights also could use a slight buff. They're probably the worst monstrous cavalry in the game. And, you know, Empire, well, it shouldn't necessarily be the best at any one thing except maybe mobile firepower at this point. It's kind of their calling card. But they should at least have usable units in every role. That should be true of most factions. But anyway, War Wagon's also a big piece here, of course, using up all the ammunition, shooting high-value targets. That's going to pay for themselves in the long run. Tank here did his best to try and chase down the foul contraptions of the Empire, shooting their unchivalrous gunpowder weapons, which ended up being effective, despite the Grail Knights putting in some really nice work. Trebuchet also pretty much pays for itself, which is nice to see. You know, the one thing here, the spend on the Foot Squires, like, I get it, but also they just might as well not exist against a steam tank, so hard to say. Maybe he would have been better off to have a couple of Knights Errant. You know, I'm not criticizing, certainly. Both these players are probably better than, well, definitely better than me. Not probably, absolutely better than me at this point. But it's just interesting to kind of speculate on such things in these high-level games. Those small differences can make the big difference at the end of the day in the outcome of the game, but definitely enjoyable one to watch for sure. Well played to both these players. Hopefully you enjoyed as well. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.